Today, I want to actually reference back to a previous video I made and share with you all some analysis and detective work I did about two of the yet unreleased Battleborn. First up, we have the recently revealed Ernest. Like Benedict, he is an aviant serving in the UPR. I'll talk more about it in episode 4 of my lore series when I address the UPR, but many aviants were inducted to the UPR after rescue efforts as planets were darkened by the Varelsi. Fitting that theme, what we know about Ernest fits with Benedict's origins. Benedict was discovered on Menec B fighting off Varelsi with explosives when the UPR arrived to evacuate the population. In the lore entry that tells us this, Lieutenant Fod Musson of the UPR Agdanon also says that there's, and I quote, "there's loads of talent coming out of that hall." Fun fact, Toby was also evacuated but passed over by the UPR due to being tiny and cute. In the details given of Ernest, it stresses his masterful skills with explosives before stating that Ernest joined up with the Peacekeepers to put his demolition prowess in the service of the universe. It's entirely possible that our new demo bird was one of those talents picked up on Menec B, or perhaps Madden, another avian world that was darkened. I'm sure as we move closer to his release we'll get some more light to shed on the lore, and the lore challenges themselves will be a huge help. As for how he'll play, we actually have some pretty straightforward answers. The one paragraph of information we have on him actually says, Ernest is a defensive mastermind with a strong devotion to protecting his allies. Right there we have a few of his playstyle tags, defensive and controller. With his primary weapon being a grenade launcher, it's likely he'll shoot grenades on a brief time detonation with almost a 100% chance of there being a helix skill to make them detonate on impact. Based on the antenna on the end of his launcher, he'll probably also have a skill like the Demo Man's sticky bombs, where you can place and then activate them at will. Alternatively, it also might be a secondary fire to detonate a grenade fired early. I doubt he'll be capable of flight like Benedict and will instead be more grounded like Toby. That said, the giant device on his back is either some sort of propulsion device or a giant fucking bomb. If it's the first, then it'll probably be some sort of movement tech, whether it's a passive allowing higher jumps, or a skill giving him a dash remove remains to be seen. If it is a bomb, I have no doubt it will be his ultimate. Now there's the less concrete but more intriguing mystery. The Jennerit character that has already been teased. I talked briefly about the silhouette I thought to be the new Jennerit Battleborn in an older video, and I think Gearbox has snuck in a sneak peek of her in the new PvP map, Outskirts. This map takes you to the Jennerit Lowborn slums, and in one of the underpasses of this map are several graffitied posters. Pictures of Rendain, Wrath, and Caldarius are posted and covered in Jennerit writing, and some are defaced with drawings. However, the largest poster of all stands out for several reasons. First is the aforementioned size. It definitely stands out amidst the smaller images. Additionally, it's barely touched by the graffiti, simply bearing some writing. But what's really important is the person depicted. From her facial structure, what we can see of her upper body, and her clear 4-fingered hands, she is both Jennerit and Highborn, which matches with the theoretical silhouette we have. It's also worth mentioning that the silhouette appears to be hooded or cloaked as well. Also, while recording this, I actually noticed the segmented wing-like pieces on the back of the poster person, which would fit with what I said about the teaser image. I have a few ideas about who this mystery woman could be, and all of them center around the Jennerit practice of sustainment. When I finally get to the Jennerit lore video, I'll expand on it, but here's the quick version. Sustainment is a process drawing a planetary scale of energy to alter a single individual. Being sustained brings immortality, halts aging, and offers immunity to diseases. There is an extremely rigorous testing and vetting process that would ultimately have to be approved by Empress Lenore. So far, almost all, if not all, of the Jennerit Battleborn have been through this process. Wrath, Deondi, Ambra, and even the non-Jennerit Caldarius. Even Atticus, I believe, was indirectly sustained through the shard experimentation and the Hadronic Collector grafted to him. As such, I have no doubt that this new character will be one of the sustained, which leads me to my suspects. First and foremost is someone who has been whispered about by the community for some time now. The fallen Jennerit Empress Lenore. The sustained are said to be gifted eternal life and immortality, so it's entirely possible she survived. If she was left on a darkened world or in the void, we have evidence that the sustained might survive this. We have multiple examples of organic beings surviving in the void, like in The Void's Edge, or when Deondi briefly entered the void in one of her lore entries. Additionally, the sustained are just really hard to kill. The Red Observer comments on Wrath. I now know him to be nearly impervious to most small arms fire, resistant to many poisons and toxins, all but incombustible and is seemingly immune to asphyxiation. And when Wrath eventually stabbed Rendane in the chest with the dagger, he survived easily. With the Jennerit population split between the Empress and Rendane, it might explain why she's posted up with the other key Jennerit figures. Second up is less interesting, but somewhat more likely. It could just prove to be one of the factions spited by Rendane's coup. The Jennerit Silent Sisters served the Empress closely and were betrayed by Rendane. The hooded figure, seemingly decorative wings, and the simple fact that she appears to be a sustained Jennerit who is a capable fighter could suggest ties to the organization. Also worth mentioning, the Blade Keepers were turned against Lenore by Rendane. While it's said Wrath hunted down all of them, it's possible one could have survived, which would fit the armored appearance of the hooded figure's gloves and the red metal of her wings. Next is one of my more colorful theories. She could be the result of a partnership between the Jennerit and the Varelsi. With Rendane's allegiance and apparent military control over them, it's entirely possible, and likely that he tried to weaponize them. In fact, we've actually seen such a bond already. In the mission The Saboteur, the final boss, Thrall Foreman Grawl, is clearly bonded to the Varelsi. Not only does he summon them at will, he is able to phase into several Varelsi phantoms, and even when he's finally defeated, he's gradually being drawn down into the void. With a successful test on a lowborn like Grawl, it's entirely possible, and the bizarre nature of the Varelsi could make for some awesome character in lore and gameplay skills. Lastly is my least favorite theory. It could just be fucking no one. While I absolutely love Alani and Pendles, they have no originally hinted ties to the other Battleborn. Alani was only linked to Umbra after her release, and similarly, Pendles was only tied to Benedict after his release. While it's possible that the new character could be some awesome hinted at person, there's a pretty equal chance it'll be a nobody. It's kinda lame, but there's always still the chance that it's Empress Lenore, and I really hope it is, because that would be fucking awesome. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. With my upcoming move, I was planning on cutting back on these scripted thought pieces for a bit, but I felt like I just had to talk about this. If you like this or think anything that I said could be valid, likes and subscribers are definitely appreciated. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm interested to know what all of you think. If you want to support me directly, consider backing me on Patreon. Until next time, beautiful people.